Hey everybody, welcome back to Boost Your Income with Bootstrap to WordPress. And this lecture is the final lecture for this section. We're pretty much done with the homepage. And basically all we need to do now is just some general CSS cleanup. We might have missed a few things here and there. And also, since the site is already responsive because we're using Bootstrap, it's not always perfect. Sometimes there are a few things, a few overlapping elements. Because we've added some custom CSS, it might conflict with a few things. So we're just going to do some stress testing and make sure everything works, add some custom responsive media queries, and then we'll move on to the next section. Okay, last but not least, just a little bit left to do here. Go to your code editor, and there's a few things that we just left out and would be good to just add right now in terms of CSS, only a few styles. And we also need to add some media queries at the bottom of our CSS. So let's just start in our global section. I already know, just because I built the site, and we're going to come across this issue, so I would like to handle it right now. Do you remember the paragraph at the class of lead? The one that we use here at the very top. Well, we specifically styled this as font weight light, I believe, or normal right here as well. But what would be good is if we just added paragraph lead and we just said font weight normal right here, so that anytime we use the lead text throughout our website in the future, we don't have to keep styling that specific one. So this just globally makes sure that all of the lead text or the paragraph, the class of lead, will always be font weight normal. So it matches the style. And since we're on the paragraphs, let's just add a paragraph style and say margin 0015. I want, by default, the paragraphs to have a margin of 15 pixels on the bottom. Not a huge deal. I think Bootstrap has something like 20 or 25 pixels of margin on the bottom of paragraphs, but I want it to be 15 because it looks better within our website. Okay, save that, and there is just a little bit more. Scroll down to the layout section. And we're going to add a style at the very beginning. It's going to look like this. Class of row and then plus row. So what does that mean? Well, this is a specific combination style where you can, when you add the plus sign, basically it looks for the row or an element with the class of row that comes immediately after an element with the class of row. So in this case, that would be, I'll show you. Let's just go background red. We're not going to keep this, but I just want to show you blatantly what this is. So right here, our testimonials, these guys are rows with the class, these are rows, and then they have rows immediately afterwards. So we want to do something here and say margin top 20 pixels. So any row that comes immediately after a row, we want the margin top to be 20. So it just gives us a little bit more breathing room here in the testimonials section. Okay, that's really it for that. Now, why don't we scroll down to the very, very bottom? Because here's where we're going to add our media queries. Now, Bootstrap already has default media queries and responsive styles, but we're going to have to add a couple of our own for a few specific reasons. So let's start by adding the media query media, screen, and this will be max width 991. So if your screen is a maximum width of 991, so everything from 991 and under will get these styles. So we're going to select instructor and container. So the container within the instructor. Now, why am I doing this? Because let's just show you. If I make this smaller than 991, you'll see there's an issue. Do you see how the text starts overlapping my body and you can't actually see the text? So we're just going to add a background of RGBA, and you can add white or use a PNG background image if you want to be more cross-browser compatible, but I like just pushing the envelope a little bit here, and I'm just going to use RGBA. So that's red, green, blue, and alpha, 255, 255, 255, and 0.8. Basically, this says the RGB will be 255, which is basically white, and the A alpha will be 80%. So that means the white will be 80%, so you can see through it just a little bit, and padding 20 pixels. So check it out. Do you see how now you can read the text because it added a semi-transparent white background. So now you can read even with me in the background once you get smaller than 991 pixels. Great. So that's it for 991. Let's move on to another one. Media, screen, and max width. This will be 768. So this is pretty much like an iPad in portrait. However, there's so many new iPads coming out now. I don't even know. We're going to have to start changing all of our media queries, all of us web designers and developers. Okay, we're going to select the logo and give it the width of 50%. And why? Let me show you. This is our logo right here, and I want the width to be 50%. So basically, instead of max width 100% and having it be the full width, I want it to be 50% of the width of the screen. So it just kind of looks a little bit better. Great. Next, we have the opt-in paragraph tag, opt-in P, and I'm going to say margin 0010 because it needs a little less it needs a little bit of margin and under it, if you could see here. So now we have some margin between here and the button. Looks a bit better. And also the featurette, where the video is, the embedded YouTube video. We want to select that iframe. And I want the height to be 240 pixels because currently the height is the height of the fixed height that we put in the iframe. But if I make it 240, it will be a little bit more of an appropriate height, especially once it's smaller. There you go. Great. And then we're going to move on here and add another one, media, screen, and max width, 568. This is an iPhone 5 and up in portrait orientation. We will be styling instructor num. So those numbers, remember how I said they were overlapping a bit? I want to change that height to 100 pixels and the width to 100 pixels. And now the font size will be smaller. If I save that, we'll see a little bit better. There we go. And I also want the instructor num span to have a smaller font size of 16 pixels. Save that, and now it should look better. That's more appropriate. And basically our homepage looks great. It's perfectly responsive. Everything looks good. You can feel free to play around if you don't like something. This is yours to play around with. You can even see here, cool drop-down menu. Looks good. All right, that's awesome. So good job, guys, for mastering this section. We built a beautiful, beautiful homepage, and we're utilizing a lot of Bootstrap's core features, and it looks great. We're using parallax effect. We have testimonials. We have big buttons. We have nice styles and yada, yada, yada. Looks great. You did a good job. The next section, we're going to be coding our blog. And that one should be fairly quick because it's pretty straightforward, as you can see here. Here's our blog. We're going to be styling this. We have some nice parallax background title section, our blog overview. We have a sidebar with some widgets that we're going to turn into WordPress widgets eventually. And then after that, we'll move on to resources, contact, and then we'll be jumping into WordPress, and that's where the good stuff starts. So hang in there. Go get yourself a drink, coffee, tea, beer, water, whatever you want. And I will see you in the next section.